Are you a fan of Hex or Pulse Hex or Pulse Chain? Wouldn't it be fun if you could just get those like earned for free effectively by owning a token? That seems to be what this Reflhexion is trying to put together in this project, which we're going to deep dive into today. We went through and took a look at their white paper and read through everything else that they had on their site to get an idea of how it actually works. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get into some potential concerns we have about this project. But first, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. Now, if you want to support the channel, there's some links down below. You can check out some triggered products. Let's talk PEDs.com. Got some good stuff over there that I guarantee you've never heard of before and isn't sold anywhere else. Now, let's get into this project. So somebody had mentioned this over on Twitter. Link down below if you want to jump over to Twitter, say what's good. And they're like, hey, can you check this out? This is an interesting project that they're excited about. And so I was like, okay, cool, let's check this thing out. They're actually, and I'm not saying you should do this by any stretch of the imagination because I'm not recommending you do this. I'm not doing this, but they are currently going through a sacrifice, right? So basically, you're just donating to their, startup. This is like IPO type thing, and you're donating to it. Now, if you look at the startup, they've gathered $46,000. So we'll talk about the concerns at the end, but just remember $46,000 for a sacrifice. But we go through their white paper here, and it's like 5 pages long. In here, they talk about like this little roadmap thing they're doing. You can get in a sacrifice to get your reflections or whatever they're called. You at the launch, right? They're going to come out with staking pools, so you're going to have 1 month. I think it's the 3 month and a 6 month where you can stake your things out, and then you earn more of the reflections back. Or you can just hold these and earn Hex or Pulse X. So how does that work? And they talk about integrations with partner companies as well as further development over here in the metaverse, whatever that means. I'm not sure. How does the tokenomics work of this thing? There's a 15% buy tax. There's a 15% sell tax. Right? I think we've already covered a token that does something similar to this called the MRI token. You can go watch that video. That's the UFC token one, and my thoughts on that one. Not a big fan of these taxes, right? Well, 10% of the 15% will go to people who hold this, right? 3% goes to a staking pool, right? So that's the 1 month, the 3 month, and the 6 month stakers, presumably. And then 1% goes into liquidity. I'm not sure how that works. And then 1% goes to them. And the same thing with the exit, right? If you decide to sell, the staking pool, right? They get the 3% from the buy to sell tax. That's this here and this here. There's a liquidity pool incentive token, so there might be, it sounds like there could be a second token involved here, but they don't get into the details. How they're going to actually distribute this reflection token is sacrificers, people who are donating, are getting 55% of the total supply. It says general circulation gets 15%. 15% is going to go into the liquidity pools, and then the team is taking 10%, and then they're giving 5% in airdrops. So it says, majority of it's going to the sacrificers. We'll come back to that in a second. The tokenomics here. It's just another breakdown of this here. This is, you probably can't see because my head is covering this up. Let's go up here. Okay, so effectively you're buying it. You're getting 50% taxed. Now you're holding this Reflhexion token, and by holding this, you are receiving Hex Pulse X, or the PRT, which is the incentive token. That might be what they're actually talking about when they say liquidity pool incentive token. So you might be able to, that might actually be what they're talking about, not a second token. Now, they talk about the other things here, being able to earn in the pool and all these kinds of things. I had to stop myself several times just by going through and making this, because there's so many questions that they just don't answer whatsoever. And this thing's like brand new, so it's understandable they don't have any data here to a certain extent, but you're taking people's money and you don't have any data. You don't have how anything works on your side. Like, I don't know. Okay, so let's get into this, right? Let's go to this one here, general circulation. How is this general circulation? Isn't this going to be the general circulation? How they actually get sacrificed? How is this going to be distributed? The quote general circulation. It should be sacrifices, wouldn't you think? Like, those people are going to be the general circulation. How does the liquidity pool work? Is this going to be like locked liquidity? What is actually going on? How is this work? 10% are team locked. Is that locked for a day? Is it locked for 6 months? Is it locked in? They say on here somewhere that it is locked permanently, but they don't get into any of the details on here. So I have no idea. These are supposed things that they've partnered with. But they don't get into what's going on with the lock. Let's see if I can find it in here. But yeah, they don't get into how this is actually locked, or what goes on with any of these things. Like, how is this going to be distributed? We don't know. What is going on with this? The liquidity? You don't know. How does this what's going on with this? You don't know, right? Like, when/if I come up with a token, there's going to be the white paper and the level of detail is going to trounce on people like these who do these things, because there's just like, that's why you only have $46,000, because like, what are you going to do development wise with $46,000? I won't be surprised if $46,000 this just doesn't even launch, personally, because there's no detail. Like, how is this going to be taking place? Reflections. They do mention that it is being audited. Cool. They do mention that I say over here, there's a certificate for a KYC thing for whoever this person is, right? And they also say that there's the verification page associated with it that it is audited. So cool, appreciate that. But there's no talk about admin keys or anything along those lines as well. So, I mean, if you guys fuck up, if whoever's behind the project fucks up, well, it's good to know who fucked up, but it's still fuck up, and that's your money. How does this work to get your Hex, Pulse X, or PRT token by just holding this? Right? This is a person in the background that's just pressing a button to do this, right? I don't know. The more I read through these white papers, the more I am optimistic for creating something of actual value, and that is transparent about what is going on, so that it answers questions. It doesn't just, I have no idea about these people. They could be fucking awesome people. They could be really trying to do something, but it seems like somebody's just trying to grab money. Personally, I have no idea. Like, I am not associated with them. I don't know any of these people at all. I've never talked to one of these people. But why would you put something forward if it is so poorly structured that it just creates more questions than actually answering any questions? And this is clearly evident, as in it's only raised $46,000, right? Because it doesn't talk about how anything actually works, and you're getting charged 30% to get in and out of this thing. right? Like you could say, okay, well, that's how you want to do it, so that you try to create an incentive for people to hold the token. Okay, cool. If that's your MO and that's what you believe or think you're trying to incentivize, cool. You're trying to incentivize people to buy it and pay to buy it, and then they are going to lose when they sell it. So they don't sell it, right? Is that kind of like the idea there? Well, what does that do? Think about the incentives that creates. So say this Reflhexion holders, right? They don't describe this, but let's assume that this tax of 10% that goes to allowing one to receive hex or pulse hex or the PRT. Let's assume that this 10% of this Reflhexion token is then swapped for one of these, right? And then this is placed into the wallet that somebody is able to receive. Cool, interesting, right? But what does that do, right? Because you said that the idea could be that they're trying to incentivize somebody to hold these things. Well, you don't incentivize people by making them pay, first of all, to start to get into something, in my opinion. And then what does that do to sell pressure? Well, there's perpetual sell pressure. What do you think that does to price? If somebody is perpetually selling something, you've got 10% in, 10% out, and that 20% of volume is assuming that this, because how else are you going to get hex, pulse hex, or PRT? Has to be sold. This Reflhexion has to be sold to go acquire those other tokens. So there's perpetual sell pressure. How does that sound for performance wise? Right? How is this airdrop going to take place? I don't know. I don't know. Let's recap here. So we got this Reflhexion token. Probably, hopefully, that's how I feel that there's somebody trying to like maybe do something good here. I don't know. Doesn't seem very well put together. I will definitely not be sacrificing. I personally wouldn't recommend anybody that I know to put any money into something like this. Without like more information out there, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend anybody do it. There's way too many questions. Far too many questions. Seems far too risky to just give your money away that you probably worked hard for to something like this when there's so much better shit out there than something like this, in my opinion. So hopefully this was helpful. If it was, make sure you smash that like button and press the subscribe button, the bell notification. There's other YouTube channel coming up over here. You can check out that. That's related to fitness. Also, you can check out some cool ass things for research purposes. shop.letstalkpeds.com. Instagram is linked down below. Twitter's linked down below. I want to know what you're interested about, what you're excited about in crypto projects. If it's unique, if it's interesting, I'll check it out. I'm going to be brutally honest. So if it's a shitty fucking project, and you know it's a shitty project, and you leave it below and I do cover it, I will call it a shitty fucking project. But if you're excited about something, leave it down below. I'm curious because I like checking out new projects. I like learning about new stuff out there. Appreciate you. Peace.